Hey, Legendary family, it's your favorite Dinobot here, and please keep y'all thirsty selves down today. So today we're going to talk about Mileena versus Elektra. When it comes to Marvel versus Mortal Kombat fights, this is actually one of my few, I would definitely say one of my few favorites, and it's actually really discussed amongst the community when comparing these two. Elektra being the more skilled one, and Mileena definitely being the more physically statted one, if you guys get what I mean. But with Mortal Kombat 1 actually fixing some things here and actually making the debate, I think, probably just a little bit more one-sided now. We're really going to dive into it and probably see if this fight is really close or if it's really not. So again, spoilers from Mortal Kombat 1. If you guys haven't seen the game, then I suggest you do not watch this video and, yeah, skedaddle and go watch it or play it. Whichever one you guys feel like doing. So let's start off with, obviously, feats. Now, when it comes to Elektra here, she actually has a lot of feats here. She actually has some very good scaling to characters like Wolverine, Iron Fist, Daredevil, Bullseye. You know, characters of a ridiculous caliber. You can even scale her to characters like Captain America and somewhat Black Panther in a way. But I'll get into that later. Now, when it comes to Elektra, her skill is absolutely just monstrous when it comes to, you know, Marvel combatants here. I mean, she literally sliced a man so good, right, that all of his limbs were still in place here. But if somebody touched him or if he wanted to move, he would have fell apart here. And when Punisher grabbed this guy, his limbs literally just fell apart like it was nothing. Absolutely disgusting, but absolutely amazing. But you might say, man, if you don't get over these fodder characters, let's get into some real good stuff. All right. I gotcha. Elektra in close quarters combat has been able to pretty much beat just about in almost every Marvel character you can name. She was able to beat Captain America. She was able to hold her own and almost beat Wolverine. She's even able to fight against characters like Iron Fist, to the point where Iron Fist had no choice but to use his chi. And this is something that, again, requires you to be, like, up there. Now, again, this is because of skill, meaning Iron Fist got so desperate to, well, not get killed, obviously. But again, he got so desperate in the fight that he had no other choice but to use chi. Meaning that Elektra is above Iron Fist, who's considered, I guess you could say, second to Shang-Chi, if you guys really want to get into that. Now, again, I have seen a lot of arguments for where Iron Fist ranks in terms of top tier martial arts in terms of the Marvel Universe, but he's generally considered second most of the time. It's between him, Wolverine, and Black Panther, but we do know Shang-Chi has always been number one for a while. Now, let's talk about what else she's done over the years here. She's actually beaten characters outside of her own tier because of skill. Now, when it comes to Marvel and, unfortunately, DC here, Marvel and DC treat their characters vastly differently when it comes to skill. You won't see Batman put hands on Wonder Woman and use nerve strikes against her in a hand-to-hand fight because of her physical stats and her skill are just different. But when it comes to Marvel characters, the physical stat difference does not matter because you just need to have hands. And again, this is very common in verse. Shang-Chi being one in particular. However, Elektra has taken down the following characters. Jack-o'-lantern, who is a Spider-Man villain. Freeze, who is an Iron Man villain. Crossbones, a Captain America villain. Tiger Shark and Whiplash, who are both Iron Man and Namor villains. She's taken them all out. It even took them all out at the same time because of her skill. Keep in mind, Daredevil has been able to take out characters like the Rhino, Crossbones, and Bullseye. So Elektra has some really good scaling when it comes to her. I guess you could say when it comes to physical stats, she should easily be in a super soldier tier, at least in somewhere close to Captain America, but I would definitely say on par with characters like Black Widow and Daredevil. But without further ado, we'll move on to her opponent, Mileena. Now, again, Mileena would scale to some of the higher ups in Mortal Kombat, especially after what happened in MK1 with her chapter. And I mean, she's absolutely ridiculous. But here's some of the new stuff that has happened in MK1. So yeah, there will be spoilers. So Mileena, right? Mileena has been trained by Lee May who is a master at Adanian martial arts. Keep in mind, this is a martial arts that, in all honesty, should be somewhat higher or on par with even Earth Realm's martial artists. Okay? And what makes this important here is that she trained both Mileena and Katana since they were kids. Okay? And considering the time flow in Mortal Kombat, each realm has a different flow of time. And considering Katana is in her, I think, her thousands. Okay? Because again, thousands could be considered, like their teenage or young adult years. So again, this time frame, Mileena would be a master martial artist and actually one of the most experienced characters in Mortal Kombat. Now again, thanks to this little time shift from Liu Kang, or the remaking of this timeline, this means Mileena should far surpass her other self, her older timeline self, where she's able to, rip apart and tear people limb from limb. She was still a good fighter. Yeah, she still had her training with the size and everything. But again, consistently speaking, Mileena was, I guess you could say, not the best fighter in Mortal Kombat. Now again, in this new timeline everyone is still below the Lin Kuei of Scorpion, Smoke, and Sub-Zero, who are considered the most skilled fighters of of Mortal Kombat 1 here. And this is due to them constantly pulling their punches. And even Liu Kang said, yeah, I wouldn't have them participate in the tournament because it would actually be like a landslide for Earth Realm if the Lin Kuei were there. Meaning, again, this is probably the one reason why we didn't really see all three of them in that tournament. And even Sub-Zero admits, yeah, you guys would have gotten boxed up if we participated in that little tournament. So again, Mileena wouldn't scale to the higher ups of Mortal Kombat or the higher skilled fighters in Mortal Kombat, but she has still shown that she has surpassed her older self in terms of skill. More skilled and possibly even higher skill than the likes of Katana. Not higher than her teacher Li Mei, but again, higher skills than at least Katana. Alright? Now, Mileena has also some ridiculous feats in this game here. For starters, she was able to beat the dark version of both Sindel and Raiden from Titan Shang Tsung's timeline. Keep in mind that both Mortal Kombat 11 endings are canon. So this means that the quotes would ring true that Sindel was able to still harm and is still one of the few beings that could take down an elder god like Cetrion. And again, this is the dark timeline version where Shang Tsung made them, I guess you could say, a lot more powerful, or made them with their original power-ups. Meaning that Sindel and Raiden, who scale to Elder Gods and who are able to consistently fight against Elder God level beings that can sit at a primordial level, you could say complex, you could say they're multiversal beings. You could even argue higher or as complex multiversal. Again, just for consistency speaking, Mileena would scale to that as of the game. In terms of speed here, while Elektra is sub-relativistic or at least supersonic, you could possibly make faster and light arguments for characters like, her scaling to characters like Wolverine and Iron Fist. Mileena is consistently considered FTL, considering the fact that Kotal Khan, a being that can manipulate light blasts and can bring them down to, honestly, the ground just as instantly. And he's able to literally move his hands in conjunction with summoning these beams, meaning his summoning speed should be just as equal to his reaction and combat speed, and Mileena has matched that, if not been slightly behind him on a couple of occasions. But again, Kotal is a ridiculously good fighter. This was someone who was a general in Shao Kahn's army before Mileena even came, into existence. But overall, let's really talk about the arguments that the community has made over the years. Now, Elektra's win cons were that if she could get Mileena to act out or in a ravenous nature or in a frustrated nature, that she would be able to take the win against Mileena. And again, I usually agree with this because again, Mileena did have those, anger issues or, those frustration problems, if you will. This means that if Elektra really got her or was really prolonging the fight so much to where Mileena got frustrated, this means Mileena would make a mistake in the fight, and Elektra is someone who would quickly capitalize on her opponent's mistakes. I mean, this is very consistent with Elektra. You mess up one time is all she really needs to just end the fight right then and there. Now, Mileena's win cons were pretty simple. If she can keep her cool and again press her physical advantages and her skill if she can press her physical advantage over Elektra and keep herself in a more, controlled state and use her skill to her advantage. Again, I wouldn't say she's as skilled as Elektra, but again, with the Mortal Kombat, timeline update here, she would be just as skilled, if not slightly lesser. But again, being a slightly lesser combatant, she still has the physical advantage and the intelligence to use that against her opponent. So with that being said here, she should be able to press her physical advantages, use her hacks and abilities like her teleportation, her rollout ability, and all that good stuff. And she would be able to take down Elektra. All right, so those were the arguments that were mainly used by the communities over the years. And I think, in all honesty, I've never seen a toxic, debate between Elektra and Mileena as a whole here. And that's probably one of the most shocking things. I've never seen a toxic, Mileena fan or a toxic Elektra fan trying to, press up on one or another. But again, at the end of the day here, I do think due to Mortal Kombat 1 updating Mileena to where she has more control over her anger and she's not, going to get into these psychotic or bloodlusted rage outbursts. Yes, the Tarkar is still there, but she's actually seemed to be able to control it a great deal here. This means that if Mileena and Elektra were to come to blows, Mileena would not only just destroy her physically, but again, in a skill fight, she's able to hold her own, and then again, adding that physicality difference, I think she would honestly pack up Elektra here. But again, if we don't say that, or let's say if it's an equal stats battle, right? I think that Mileena's hacks and abilities with her skill and her knowledge on how to use them, again, would still give her the win just on a higher diff. However, no equal stats on their own, individual stat levels or whatever you guys want to call it, their normal base versus their normal base. Yeah, Mileena's taking that at least I gotta say 9.5 times out of 10 here. Again, the Mortal Kombat 1 game upgraded her and updated her skill level to a great deal here. So in all honesty, do I think this is close now? Honestly, no. I think now it's actually more in favor of Mileena than Elektra. But hey, that's going to be all for today, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe, and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace.